Sydney's one of those people, if you mop my floor and we talk, you're my friend. If you're the doctor that comes in and talks to me, then you're my friend. That's just the way she is.
As far as Sydney's personality is concerned, Sydney genuinely cares about people. She has always been for the underdog.
It doesn't matter what kind of day she's having, she's never hateful.
She's positive, she's inspiring.
And it doesn't matter where she goes, she leaves a lasting impression. Sydney was, as a younger child, she was pretty strong-willed, pig-headed, but a really sweet, well-behaved child, unless she got hungry. And I'm serious about that because she would really get bent out of shape until you fed her. And then she was fine again.
Sydney's always been a sweet little girl. I mean, she's, like she said, she's a lot older in the mind than most kids her age. She's a very sweet kid. Anytime I'm sick, she tries to make me feel better. She's got the compassion for other people. No matter how bad she is, she still feels bad for the underdog.
If there was somebody who was like not included, Sydney was there. You know, she always went to that person. If somebody was at a table and nobody was sitting with the person, Sydney would go there. She was always that kind of a kid. She never was afraid of what everybody else thought. You know, I'll just go and do it. If you don't like what I'm doing, it's too bad for you, you know, but I'm gonna take care of this person because this is what this person needs at the time, so.
I kind of am the person who is always there for the underdog because I will say in elementary school, middle school, and high school, I was bullied. And I just always felt like I had a connection for people who either were sitting alone and didn't have anybody to talk to, or, you know, were new to the school and didn't know anybody. I always want to make people feel comfortable and make new friends.
She's always been for the underdog. If there's somebody in the classroom she knows was being left out, then she will always be sort of sad. You know, she's had every pet under the sun. She's had hissing cockroaches, and she's had mice and rats and gerbils and hamsters and guinea pigs and dogs and cats and snakes. Am I missing any?
Rabbits.
Rabbits. Sydney loves all animals, but she started having a really special bond with horses when she was 7 years old.
My mom took me to ride my first horse when I was 7 years old. At a barn near our house, and I loved it so much that she enrolled me in a lesson program, and I started taking horse riding lessons every week. I had loved it so much that my mom and family bought me a horse about a year later when I was 8 years old. It was my first horse. Her name was Bella, and they surprised me with her. Since then, I've just stuck with horses. Horses have always been my stress reliever. I love to show horses. I love to just be at the barn and be with them and brush them and be around them. It's just something about being with the horses that makes me forget about all my physical, mental issues going on.
You know, when Sydney's stressed out, I'm stressed out. When Sydney's having a good day, I don't care what kind of day I've had. If she's having a good day, then I'm going to have a good day. We can leave the barn in a totally different mood, Sydney in a totally different light, you know, much less stress, and, you know, whether we're just picking the stalls or whether she's just brushing the horses.
The barn is just a big stress reliever for me. It's always been that way. It doesn't matter what's happened, you know, a death in the family or something simple like I didn't do well on a test. I can just go to the barn and I just forget everything. Just everything just goes away, and all I'm focused on is me and my horse and what we're doing at the time, and it just always brightens my mood. One day I went to the barn with my mom, and
I saddled up Elvis, and my mom said, Sydney, I don't think I'm going to go on the trail ride with you. I think I'm just going to stay at the barn, lay a blanket out on the grass, and just lay here and enjoy the sun. I took him out on the trail for about an hour, I'd say, and I noticed that it was starting to get dark, and I needed to turn around and come back to the barn. So I decided to take the shortcut back to the barn, and to get to the barn, you'd have to go up this huge, almost like a cliff, because you're going up one side, but there's a huge drop-off. So if you would, by chance, slip and fall, you would be falling about 15 feet. Halfway up, I noticed that Elvis was struggling a little bit, and I started to push Elvis to go, a little bit harder and faster up that cliff. And I noticed that Elvis was actually starting to move towards the side of that cliff, that drop off, and I couldn't do anything to prevent him from doing so. And I decided, you know what, we're gonna fall. We are really going to fall off the side of this cliff. I don't know, it just happened so fast. I remember just like almost flipping through the air, and I remember this huge shadow going over me. And that was Elvis that I didn't know at the time. And when I hit my head, my forehead pretty hard.
I heard a commotion, but a yelp. And I sat up and, immediately just ran around the entire barn to the back of the barn. And Sydney was laying flat on her torso.
So she helped get me up, and I was limping, so we had to slowly limp back to the barn. Elvis walked right alongside of us, and after that fall was when I started to get horrible stomach cramping. I'd be doubled over in pain. So the night of January 12th, coming back from ski club, I, about midnight, woke up to having a cold feeling on my chest and on my face, on my pillow, a sticky feeling, and I didn't know what it was. So I turned the light on and noticed that there was blood all over me, all over my pillow. So I immediately got up, cut my hands underneath of my mouth, and was running through my room to my mom's room.
She came through the hallway from her bedroom to my bedroom with thick, red blood just dripping from her mouth. It was all over her bedroom carpet. It was all over the hallway. It was all over her doorknob. It was all over her. It was all over my bedroom floor, just thick, syrupy, viscous puddles of blood.
First time I heard she was coughing up blood, I just figured she had a opening somewhere where she had that injury on the horse. That's the only injury she'd ever sustained. And we wondered, was that what was causing this? And they just hadn't found the, let's say there was something, punctured or something in her body. That went from, she just started having the stomach problems and the vomiting up blood, and it just went from one issue to another. From the time she was 14 till she was probably 17, they could not find a reason for it. And she's been to every doctor possible, had every test possible. Everything would come back negative.
And if you can imagine going to the emergency room every 4 or 5 days, staying there the whole night, taking an x-ray, being told there's nothing wrong with you, and going home. That's what we did for 2.5 years.